On July 10, 2026, during an absolutely bombshell and unprecedented interview on a famous international podcast, the renowned Turkish actor Burak Özçivit finally broke his silence and confirmed what many already suspected behind the scenes by opening his heart about his true sexuality and revealing that he is gay, while simultaneously shocking the world by naming the 5 people he hates the most in the industry. The air of mystery that always surrounded the personal life of the global heartthrob gave way to a stunning revelation that paralyzed social media and ignited a fiery debate among fans worldwide who never expected such raw honesty from a star who usually keeps his private life under lock and key. Throughout this controversial journey, several dark points have always fed the tabloids, from the intense pressure to maintain a specific public image in the highly conservative Turkish audiovisual market, to the backstage feuds and betrayals by close colleagues who tried to sabotage his career, forcing him to live a double life for years just to protect his status as a leading man. This explosive confession not only exposed the cutthroat reality of Istanbul's entertainment industry, but also revealed the names of those who made his journey a living nightmare. If you want to understand every single detail of this historic confession that promises to shatter the entertainment world, I ask you to subscribe to the channel right now and leave your like, because the YouTube algorithm works in such a way that it strictly needs that direct engagement to understand that this content is highly relevant and, thus, spread this information to more people who are also looking for the truth about their favorite stars. For those who follow our work closely and are able to support the channel even more financially, click on the Super Thanks button right down below to help us maintain this search for exclusive news. And if you cannot make that financial contribution right now, don't worry, as you can support us simply by leaving a comment telling us what detail of this story surprised you the most so far. Do not leave the video for anything, and watch with total attention until the absolute end, because we have prepared a complete dossier, and the final revelation we brought in the last part of this video will leave you completely shocked and breathless. Burak Özçivit was born on December 24, 1984, in Istanbul, one of Turkey's most vibrant and contrasting cities. His childhood was marked by a family environment that, while simple, always valued principles such as respect, discipline, and unity. From a very young age, he demonstrated a curious view of the world and a sensitivity that contrasted with the image of an attractive child who charmed everyone around him. He grew up in a home where effort and dedication were taught as essential parts of life, and this profoundly shaped his character. Even as a child, Burak already displayed traits of a reserved yet determined personality, a duality that would accompany him throughout his life. He was not only an attractive child from an early age, but also someone with big dreams, even if he often struggled to express them in words. During his school years, he stood out not only for his appearance, which caught the attention of classmates and teachers, but also for his ability to adapt to different environments, always striving to earn his place respectfully. His parents constantly encouraged him to value education, and he understood that studies were the path to achieving something greater. This foundation led him to become interested in art and photography, areas that awakened in him an aesthetic sensibility that would later be reflected in his professional choices. In adolescence, while many of his friends were solely focused on sports or typical teenage pastimes, Burak already displayed a creative restlessness, observing the world with a critical eye and seeking to understand what made each moment special. This characteristic made him stand out not only in school, but also socially, building the image of a young man who seemed to possess something deeper than the superficial. It wasn't a path without difficulties. In his youth, he faced insecurities related to the pressure his appearance generated, because although he received constant praise, he also felt obligated to live up to an image of perfection that sometimes didn't reflect his true essence. He had to deal with comments, comparisons, and expectations that, for a young man still developing, were a considerable burden. This process of self-discovery made him mature prematurely and taught him that, even in the face of admiring glances, it was necessary to remain true to himself. It was during this period that he decided to invest in academic life and enrolled at Marmara University in the Faculty of Fine Arts, specializing in photography. The choice was not accidental, as photography represented a way to express feelings that he couldn't always verbalize. Capturing images, as he himself recounted in interviews, was a way to freeze moments, record emotions, and translate into art what his soul silently observed. This artistic interest set him apart from other young people his age and reinforced the idea that he was destined to follow a path that would unite beauty, talent, and sensitivity. During his youth, he also cultivated friendships that helped him face the dilemmas of that stage. Many friends remember him as someone loyal, with a calm demeanor and an easy smile, but also as a young man with a quiet determination who always seemed to know where he wanted to go. He wasn't drawn into the excessive parties and distractions that surrounded his peers. He preferred to focus on personal projects, practice healthy sports, and participate in activities that broadened his knowledge. This balance allowed him to avoid excesses and build a solid foundation for the future. Another important aspect of his childhood and youth was his close relationship with his family. Burak was always deeply attached to his mother, to whom he attributed much of his sensitivity and loving nature, and also to his father, from whom he inherited a sense of responsibility and discipline. This family bond helped him face moments of doubt and uncertainty, because whenever he felt he might stray from the right path, he found support at home. It was during this period that he began to realize that, in addition to photography, another destiny awaited him. His physical presence, posture, and overall demeanor attracted so much attention that invitations from the world of fashion began to flow naturally. Initially, Burak didn't see it as a life plan, but rather as a passing opportunity. However, he gradually realized that he could combine the visual aesthetic he so valued in photography with the world of runways and advertising campaigns. This discovery opened a new perspective in his youth and showed him that there were diverse ways to express his art. Even with this new horizon, though, he never abandoned his studies or the values he had learned as a child. This loyalty to his roots kept him grounded amidst so many possibilities. In his late teens, when he began to gain more recognition within his social circle, he had to confront envy, criticism, and malicious gossip for the first time. Burak Özçivit's career began gradually, marked by small steps that would lead him to become one of Turkey's most important and respected actors, and later an international icon. After discovering his aptitude for photography and the arts during his university studies, he realized that his physical presence and charisma could open other doors. It was at this point that the world of fashion emerged as his first major springboard, as his poise on the catwalk and his ability to stand out in advertising campaigns caught the attention of producers and directors. By winning the Best Model of Turkey competition, he solidified a public image of beauty and elegance that allowed him to connect with influential figures in the television industry. This recognition wasn't limited to the world of fashion, as his natural talent in front of the camera sparked interest in something bigger. Invitations to act in television productions soon began to arrive, initially in minor roles, but already showcasing his potential. Upon accepting those first projects, Burak understood that he needed to dedicate himself seriously to acting, which led him to delve deeper into acting studies, perfecting his diction, body language, and character development. This discipline quickly made him stand out among the young actors of his generation. The first major turning point in his career came when he began to land more significant roles in Turkish series that gained popularity with local audiences. His work in productions with a strong popular impact made him a familiar and beloved face, but it was his dedication to preparing for more demanding roles that truly brought him to prominence. Burak's career solidified, especially after his participation in historical and romantic dramas that required a strong presence and consistent performance. The culmination of this process occurred when he was chosen to play characters of great dramatic weight that demanded not only good looks, but also the talent to convey emotional intensity. International recognition came with the export of Turkish soap operas to countries in the Middle East, Latin America, and Europe, a phenomenon that transformed him into one of the leading ambassadors of Turkish drama worldwide. While many still saw him only as a heartthrob, Burak worked tirelessly to break free from that superficial perception. He sought out challenging roles and embraced artistic risks in projects that might not appeal to everyone, but which provided him with the experience to showcase his versatility. This constant pursuit of evolution made him an actor respected not only by the public, but also by critics. Another crucial moment in his rise was when he established himself as the star of hugely popular soap operas. These productions not only reinforced his star status, but also opened doors to lucrative advertising contracts with prestigious brands. Burak's career wasn't limited to television. Film also became a space where he could expand his artistry, and his roles in blockbuster Turkish movies demonstrated that his popularity extended beyond the television format. His presence in feature films solidified the idea that he could move across different platforms without losing the essence of his acting. This versatility was one of the elements that distinguished him from many of his contemporaries. The growth of his career was also directly linked to his ability to connect with diverse audiences. While in Turkey he was seen as a national idol, in countries like Brazil, Mexico, and the United Arab Emirates he was received as a true international star. This global expansion led to invitations to events outside his country and made him the face of campaigns aimed at reaching consumers in varied markets. This openness transformed him into a symbol of the globalization of Turkish television, an ambassador for an industry that was growing exponentially and gaining recognition in territories where previously only Latin American telenovelas had a presence. The peak of his rise coincided with awards and accolades that confirmed his importance to drama. He not only collected trophies at local award ceremonies, but also achieved prominence at international events, reinforcing his position as a global star. Burak used this increased visibility to broaden his horizons and become more selective about the roles he accepted. From that moment on, he rejected invitations that didn't align with his artistic vision and began choosing projects that valued his career. This selectivity was interpreted by some as a sign of arrogance, but for him, it was simply a reflection of a well-established career that no longer needed any kind of exposure to sustain itself. A pivotal moment in his career was the role of Osman Bey in the series Kurulus, Osman, a sequel to the acclaimed Durrailis, Ertugrul. This historical figure demanded intense physical preparation, the learning of combat techniques, and a deep immersion in a leadership role that would be seen by millions of people worldwide. The resounding success of the series not only solidified his name on the Turkish stage, but also expanded his international reach to unprecedented levels. That role became a true turning point, as it definitively established him as one of the greatest actors of his generation, capable of sustaining grand and complex productions with the weight of his talent and presence. Burak Özçivit's personal life and relationships have always been the subject of immense public and media curiosity. Besides being considered one of Turkey's most attractive men, he cultivated an image over the years of someone reserved yet intensely passionate in his romantic relationships. From a young age, Burak attracted attention not only for his physical good looks but also for his charismatic and polite demeanor, which naturally led to him being surrounded by admirers and speculation about his love life. His early relationships, even before he achieved widespread fame, were marked by discretion and a careful approach to protecting his privacy, though this didn't stop the local press from seeking details about the women who had captured his heart. As his career grew, the rumors intensified, and several names were linked to him, though Burak never confirmed most of these stories. The major turning point in his love life occurred when he met actress Fahriye Evcen during the filming of the telenovela Kalak. The bond between them began almost organically, fueled by the undeniable chemistry they displayed on screen, which quickly extended off-camera. The relationship garnered enormous attention because it united two figures beloved by both the Turkish public and international audiences. Fans saw them as the perfect couple, symbols of beauty, talent, and complicity, although their real life was marked by ups and downs that, while discreet, eventually came to light. During the early years of their courtship, rumors of brief separations and disagreements surfaced, mainly related to jealousy and the pressures of fame. Fahriye was constantly accused of being uncomfortable with Burak's closeness to female co-stars, while he, for his part, struggled to cope with the media frenzy and the exposure of their relationship. Despite these challenges, they both demonstrated determination to overcome the crises and strengthen their bond, culminating in a lavish wedding in 2017, considered one of the most talked-about events of that year in Turkey, with a luxurious ceremony and the presence of celebrities and prominent public figures. After their marriage, the couple's life was transformed with the arrival of their first son, Karen, in 2019, a moment Burak described as one of the most exciting of his life. He always emphasized that fatherhood profoundly changed him, bringing greater responsibility and a renewed sense of purpose. Later, in 2023, their second son, Kerem, was born, further solidifying the image of a close-knit and happy family. However, rumors of possible disagreements never ceased to surround the couple, with speculation about marital problems, veiled rivalries between Fahriye and some actresses who worked with Burak, and even comments about a supposed difference of vision regarding career and family life. In interviews, Burak always denied any separation and reaffirmed Fahriye's importance in his life, even stating that she was not only his wife, but also his best friend and travel companion. Beyond his relationship with Fahriye, his personal life was also marked by strong family ties. He always maintained a close relationship with his mother and sought to instill in his children the same values of respect and unity he learned at home. His relationship with his father also served as an example of discipline and responsibility, something he tried to replicate in his role as husband and father. Among friends, Burak is described as loyal, reliable, and preferring to keep to a small circle, prioritizing the intimacy of close relationships over public exposure. Although he maintains a low profile on social media, he and Fahriye occasionally share photos and family moments that delight fans, reinforcing the image of an exemplary family, but always in a controlled manner, without sacrificing their privacy. This stance, however, only fuels the curiosity of the press, which often invent stories to fill the silence the couple prefers to maintain about their private lives. Burak's personal life was not marked solely by love, but also by difficult periods. There were times when he lost close friends and faced family illnesses that affected him emotionally, situations he rarely discussed publicly, but which were noticeable in changes in his posture and facial expression. Although he rarely exposes vulnerabilities, in a few interviews he admitted that fame can be a burden, and that he often felt the urge to withdraw from everything to preserve his emotional balance. His relationship with Fari grew even stronger during those periods, as she was always by his side, providing support and emotional stability. Another interesting aspect of his personal life is his relationship with spirituality and Turkish cultural customs. Burak never openly declared his religious beliefs, but he clearly respects the traditions and values he inherited from his family. Throughout his career, Burak Özçivit experienced not only moments of glory and acclaim, but also faced delicate situations that placed him at the center of controversy and criticism, revealing the more vulnerable side of an artist who, despite his success, is also a constant target of pressure and judgment. One of the most discussed aspects of his career was his outspokenness on the relationship between celebrities and the press. In several interviews, he expressed discomfort with the invasion of his privacy and the way certain media outlets treated his personal life as a public spectacle. On one occasion, he even stated that some journalists believe they have the right to fabricate narratives and manipulate information simply to sell news, which sparked intense debates among media professionals and advocates for freedom of expression. These words were seen by the press as direct attacks, and opened the door to a wave of critical articles questioning his stance, accusing him of being arrogant and unapproachable. Another controversial moment in his career occurred behind the scenes of television productions, where rumors circulated that Burak had disagreements with co-stars and even directors, being described as overly demanding and, at times, impatient. Although he never directly confirmed these accusations, the actor defended himself by saying that he always sought the utmost professionalism in all his projects, and that his rigor was often misinterpreted as arrogance. This stance divided opinions, as while some colleagues expressed admiration for his discipline and dedication, others fueled the idea that working with him on a film set could be challenging. In his personal life, difficult moments also marked his path. Burak went through periods of emotional crisis when some of the productions he starred in failed to achieve the expected success, a situation that led him to reconsider decisions and even consider a career break to regain his balance. In interviews, he mentioned that the pressure of being seen as a flawless heartthrob and maintaining high expectations could be suffocating, and that there were days when he thought about stepping away from the spotlight altogether. That human side, though it revealed fragility, also endeared him to the public, who could see in him someone who truly felt the weight of fame. Furthermore, another source of strain was the speculation surrounding his marital life, as he was constantly questioned about jealousy, crises, and even possible separations. Burak always tried to maintain discretion, but in a moment of heightened irritation, he declared that married life isn't a soap opera for the public to watch, a statement that generated controversy and headlines, as it was interpreted as a veiled jab at the more inquisitive fans and the sensationalist press. These episodes contributed to building the image of a man who isn't afraid to take a stand, but who, precisely for that reason, often makes enemies. Another significant challenge was dealing with international pressure, as his fame crossed borders and placed him in front of different cultures and the demands of fans worldwide. On some occasions, he declined invitations to events abroad, justifying it by saying he needed to balance work and family, but these refusals were seen by the foreign press as signs of diva behavior, damaging his image outside of Turkey. He also faced criticism when he became more selective about the roles he accepted, as some producers argued that his financial and contractual demands were too high, sparking debate about whether his popularity justified such conditions. Difficult times extended to his family life as well, as Burak dealt with the health problems of loved ones, something that deeply affected him, and which he himself acknowledged on a few public occasions as periods that tested his emotional strength. Although he didn't go into detail, he made it clear that behind the scenes there was a man who also had to cope with pain and loss. At the height of his career, another controversial episode arose when more radical fans of his wife, Fari, began criticizing him for alleged coldness towards her during public appearances. Rumors circulated that he had been brusque at certain events, and although he never confirmed these accounts, he faced a wave of criticism on social media. In response, he chose not to engage in direct confrontations but posted messages about respect and family, seeking to dispel the negativity. His choice of discretion during times of attack demonstrated his maturity, although it didn't prevent the controversy from leaving its mark on his image. Another recurring difficulty in his career was the constant comparisons with other successful Turkish actors. professional rivals, and even rivals created by the press itself, placed him in disputes that didn't always truly exist, but which forced him to contend with artificial rivalries. In interviews, he revealed a certain irritation with these comparisons, saying that each actor should be recognized for their own work and that he didn't see himself as competing, although he admitted that it was inevitable the media would seek rivalries to sell headlines. This statement, while direct, also sparked debate about whether he truly believed it or if it reflected a deep-seated unease that he silently harbored. Burak Özçivit's feuds and rivalries always garnered significant attention because, despite his image as a focused and reserved man, he was not unscathed by the competitive and sometimes toxic environment of the Turkish entertainment industry. Throughout his career, numerous rumors of disagreements, ego clashes, and misunderstandings gained traction, transforming the actor into the protagonist of rivalry stories that divided opinions among fans and fellow actors. One of the most talked about involves Kıvanç Tatlıtuğ, another leading man of Turkish television, who was frequently compared to Burak in discussions ranging from who was more talented to who achieved greater international success. The rivalry between the two was fueled primarily by the press, which exploited every detail to create the narrative of a fierce competition between them. Although both avoided directly attacking each other, Burak's indirect statements about disliking comparisons and believing that each actor should be recognized for their own work were interpreted as messages directed at his colleague. Another notable rivalry is with Yaman, known for his explosive personality and frequent controversies. While Burak maintains a more reserved stance, Can is characterized by impactful statements, and when Burak commented in interviews that some actors confuse fame with arrogance, many interpreted it as a clear dig at Can, who had already been involved in public arguments. This veiled confrontation divided fans and fueled the idea of a silent antipathy between them, reinforced by the fact that they have never worked together and avoid appearing at social events side by side. Another name associated with disagreements with Burak is Engin Akyürek, an actor respected for his more introspective and artistic style. Behind-the-scenes comments indicate that the two competed for significant roles in historical productions, and that Burak's selection for some of these projects may have generated resentment, as Engin allegedly missed out on important opportunities. Although they never clashed directly in public, the Turkish press documented moments of tension between them at award ceremonies and galas, fueling rumors of rivalry. Outside the acting world, Burak also displayed clear resentment toward tabloid journalists who, according to him, fabricated stories to tarnish his personal and family image. In a particularly heated interview, he went so far as to say that some reporters made a living by creating lies simply to profit from the pain of others. This statement made clear the animosity he feels toward the sensationalist press and reinforced the idea that, for him, there are people who have become veiled enemies by overstepping the bounds of respect. Another notable episode of animosity arose in his relationship with a telenovela director, with whom he reportedly broke up after behind-the-scenes disagreements. Rumors suggested that Burak demanded changes to scenes and filming schedules, which irritated the director and resulted in heated arguments that jeopardized the production's progress. The director's definitive departure was interpreted as a sign that Burak, despite his controlled demeanor, doesn't hesitate to sever ties when he feels his professional image or integrity is at risk. In addition to these more well-known rivalries, there are also lesser-known stories involving clashes with co-stars who accused him of being overly competitive or monopolizing the spotlight in group productions. Although many of these accounts are just rumors, they contributed to building the narrative that Burak, behind the image of an impeccable professional, can also be tough and ruthless when it comes to defending his position in the competitive world of television. These episodes of enmity and rivalry not only reveal tensions within the artistic world, but also humanize Burak's career, showing that he is not only the admired heartthrob, but also someone who had to face ego clashes, criticism, and even personal attacks. Burak Özçivit's current situation and his current state reveal a man who has achieved the rare balance between fame, professional stability, and family life. At 40, he is experiencing a stage marked by maturity and conscious decisions that demonstrate how much he has learned throughout his career. Remaining active in the world of Turkish soap operas, Burak has become even more selective about the projects he accepts, prioritizing productions that truly have artistic significance and solidify his image as a versatile actor. This selectivity has increased the respect of colleagues and producers, as he is no longer bound by the need for constant appearances, but rather seeks roles that reinforce the grandeur of his career. His participation in the historical series Kuruluş, Osman, remains a watershed moment, cementing his status as one of today's most-watched leading men, and although many still see him as the quintessential heartthrob, he has demonstrated skill in leadership roles and complex characters, which has broadened his credibility on the international stage. In addition to his television success, Burak is now one of Turkey's highest-paid actors, boasting multi-million-dollar contracts with fashion brands, perfumes, luxury cars, and other high-profile products. His constant presence in advertising campaigns has made him a true aspirational icon, expanding his influence not only as an actor, but also as a public figure and style reference. On a personal level, Burak enjoys a family life that is his greatest strength. Together with Fahriye Evcen and their children, he maintains a routine that blends the grandeur of an international career with simple, intimate moments, such as family trips and private celebrations. He cherishes every moment with his children and, in several interviews, makes it clear that fatherhood has most transformed his worldview, bringing him greater patience, responsibility, and love. This paternal side, combined with the affection he shows for his wife, reinforces the image of a man who, despite his fame, strives to preserve his essence and put his family first. On his social media, Burak shares only what he considers meaningful, balancing public exposure with the preservation of his privacy, something that has garnered even more admiration from fans. Today, he lives in a mansion in Istanbul that reflects the luxury befitting his position, but without excessive ostentation. He prefers to invest in comfort, quality of life, and security for his family, in addition to maintaining healthy habits that include exercise, a balanced diet, and leisure time away from the spotlight. Internationally, his prestige continues to grow, as his productions continue to captivate audiences in Latin America, the Middle East, and even Europe, opening doors to invitations for global collaborations, which he carefully considers.